Ooh. Oh, hello there friends, and welcome to part 2 of my marathon race series. If you've just finished watching part 1 and you are now here watching part 2, thank you very much for tuning into both parts. If you haven't watched part 1 already and you're just watching part 2, I guess that's okay as well. Listen, I don't have much energy and I'm yet to be able to walk properly, and it's a little over 48 hours since I finished the marathon. That's right, I finished, and boy is that a medal to prove it. Oh, she is a beauty. But yeah, the truth is that I haven't got a whole lot of energy, but while these memories of the race are fresh in my mind, I thought now is the best time to make the video. Of course, yesterday or the day before when I actually did the marathon would have been the best time to make the video, but quite honestly I haven't been able to think straight since I came across that finish line. That video will be on screen now. Oh, what an amazing feeling that race was. I was about to give away the time that I got, but you'll have to wait till the end of the video to hear that. But following on from part 1, we drove into the city on Saturday, the day before the race. We collected my bib number. I got 170. Did it turn out to be a lucky number? I'm not sure about that, but I picked up 170, and we yeah, had a lovely day in the city on Saturday in Adelaide. Had some great coffee and some nice vegan treats, and I ate a whole bunch of carbs and just enjoyed the sunshine. It was such a great day for a marathon eve. My legs felt really fresh. I did lots of foam rolling and massage gun, as well as using loads of Tiger Balm. All of the small things I like to do before and after any race or any big workout. And yeah, we got to bed nice and early. We got into bed about 8 o'clock and lights were off by about 10. So the alarm was set for 5 o'clock. The morning of the marathon, 5 o'clock, an hour and a half ahead of the race start time. Now, I could have woken up a little bit later, but there is a special routine that I like to carry out in the mornings. Not every morning, but particularly on race morning, and that is that I like to eat. I like to make sure that I've digested the food and I've been to the toilet. Now, any experienced runner will know what I'm talking about here. Obviously number 1 is really important before any race, or any run for that matter, but number 2, in my opinion, is arguably even more important than number 1 going into a race, especially a marathon. So I ate accordingly, I carb loaded accordingly. This is my 3rd marathon now, my 2nd official marathon. I feel like I've got to know my body pretty well, what it does and doesn't like. So yeah, wake up about 5 AM feeling really good for the race. I have my breakfast of choice, which was on the day a peanut butter and banana sandwich, really nice and plain, nothing crazy. I made a filter coffee in the hotel we're staying in, and just felt great. That passed through my body fantastically. I won't go into details, but felt great. And yeah, found myself on the start line about 15 minutes before the kickoff. So did some strides, did a warm-up, and when it came to lights out, as they say, I felt absolutely fantastic. And yeah, as we got going through the streets of Adelaide, I felt so pumped. I was so ready to, absolutely smash out the next 42 kilometers. I stuck with the 3-hour pacer, and yeah, Mark, if you're watching this, thank you so much for your amazing work pacing the marathon for me. My goal was sub 3. Mark was a 3-hour pacer, and yeah, all I'm going to say is he did an amazing job. Thank you so much, Mark. But I stuck with Mark, and there was a group of us, maybe about a dozen of us to begin with, and then that filtered down to about 8 as some people went ahead, some people went backwards. But we were ticking off those sort of 4:15-ish kilometers, or I think 6:50-ish mile pace, for those of you that work in miles. But everything was going hunky-dory. I felt fantastic. You know, guys, at this point I'm racing, or running this marathon I should say, after literally training since the beginning of the year for my previous marathon, which was in April. But you know, all of that training is going into this marathon, this effort. So legs are feeling really good, the confidence in my head is at an all-time high, and I'm ready to absolutely smash it. So the first, let's say, 7 kilometers absolutely flew by, to the extent that the first time I checked my watch in the marathon is actually at 7.5 kilometers. Now this took me by surprise, because I planned and practiced throughout my training to of course keep up my nutrition and my hydration, but in particular my nutrition would be a gel every 7 kilometers. So I was already half a kilometer, or in my case a couple of minutes behind my first gel. So quickly I took that on. As soon as I finished that gel, we then came to a water station. I took some water on, and this was the point when I realized something wasn't quite right. Now, in the past I've had a little bit of discomfort wearing running belts. For those of you that don't know, long distance runners use nutrition on their runs, and a common way to store these is either in a vest, which I've worn previously in a marathon, which can hold like bottles, soft flasks, gels, cereal bars, whatever you want. But vests obviously set around your torso, whereas a belt, which I've been using for my training, actually sits around your waist. So on the day I had a belt with 6 gels in it, one just in case. But this belt sitting around my waist didn't have any issues in training. However, on the day, this belt just seemed to be squeezing my stomach. I'm not sure what it was doing, but it just made me feel a bit uncomfortable. It just didn't feel quite right, and it just really was pushing on this point, which I hate to say it, and I'm not going to say it too many times in this video because I don't want this to be a repetitive theme on this YouTube channel, but I feel like I needed to poo. And this wasn't, you know, a good feeling 8k into a marathon. And you know, so I adjusted my belt and I reassured myself that, you know, this was just a feeling that would subside soon. So the Ks are ticking off nicely. We're heading through 9, 10, 11, 12k. Adelaide Marathon is absolutely beautiful, nicely undulating, nothing too uphill, nothing too downhill, just really scenic, really exciting. And it's around the 13k mark when I strike up a conversation with the chap next to me. His name's DK. DK, if you're watching, thanks so much for, yeah, just the great conversation, keeping me distracted from what was going on in my stomach region during this time, and congratulations on your result. So it was around this time, speaking to DK, that I said, you know what, DK, I'm just going to drop back. I think I need to take a leak. Now, regular viewers of the channel will know that I have actually rehearsed what I can only say is pissing my pants whilst running. I've practiced this before, and yeah, I feel quite confident doing it, only to save time. You know, it's not something I'm doing in my own time leisurely, it's just to save time while I'm running. So I said to DK, I'm going to drop back, take a leak, which I did, and I expected this to provide immediate comfort, reassurance, everything's all good. Not from DK, I should add. I was expecting that reassurance from my body, but instead nothing happened. All I was reminded about was how much I needed to poo. And yeah, this in my mind was pretty much a disaster, because, you know, if you've ever run a marathon before, you know that every second is crucial. If you run just a second slower of your goal marathon pace over the entire marathon, that ends up being literally about 2 or 3 minutes to your results. You need to stay bang on the pace, and you know, guys, stopping at Portaloo, that is not what I wanted to be doing. You know, I have rehearsed pissing my pants for a reason, and Now I was about to accept defeat whilst my shorts are already wet. So, you know, it's a pretty dire situation about 13k in to this race. So I did probably what all of us would do, and I sought immediate counsel, and that was in the pacer. Mark, I asked Mark, when is the next Portaloo coming up? At which point Mark, he had a slight giggle and he said, about 7k away, it's at the halfway point, but I'm actually going to have a break myself in a moment. I'm just going to have a wee against this tree. You're welcome to join. Sorry Mark if I'm giving too much information there away, but I actually said to Mark, it's not a wee that I need, it's the other problem. At which point Mark had another chuckle and he said, okay, got about 7k to wait. So it was indeed 7k that I waited, and boy was it a painful wait. But all credit to myself, and I'm really proud of this. I stuck with the 3-hour pace group all the way to the halfway point, and it was at this point which I had my first glimpse of Courtney, and as she was filming she had probably had no idea how much discomfort and stomach pain I was in, you know, and it really hurt my soul to break off from the 3-hour crew for the first time in the whole marathon. So an hour and a half of running these guys, I had to say goodbye. I'm going to the bathroom. So I'm not going to give you any details of what happened in the Portaloo. Thankfully it only lasted about 90 seconds, at which point, just as I was finishing up, there was a bang at the door, and I was, you know, asked to leave quickly because another marathon needed to use the toilet. Tony, if you're watching, it's all good, buddy, I forgive you. It was in fact Tony knocking at the door, another marathon runner. I exited the toilet. I straight away could see the 3-hour pace group right out in the distance, and I was sure that actually it was on, the chase was on, and you know what, the marathon plan, it hadn't gone to waste, it was still on. So there I did, I ran out of the bathroom, through the halfway point of the marathon, and then I guess the chase was on. So I kind of at this point felt that my motivation would be best, I don't know, improved, maintained. I'm not sure really how I was feeling at this point, but this was the point. I decided I should catch the group as quickly as possible. Now, was this a good idea or not? I have no idea. It's hard to say. I put in multiple quick kilometers. I think I did a 3:52, a 3:55, a 3:50, and something like a 4:05 to catch the group within about 4k. And bearing in mind, I was only, you know, probably about a minute behind them. But yeah, I put in some quick Ks, and it's hard to say what this did to my marathon overall, because I did have that time resting, you know, like I was still on the in the bathroom. Sounds ridiculous to say, but my legs were, you know, relaxing for a moment. So I caught up with the guys, and you know, at this point it's about 25k into this marathon, and I've had a roller coaster just happen. I wasn't sure if I was going to even finish, you know, half of this thing with how my stomach felt about 8k in. So I'm really stoked to still be going, but also legs are hurting. My brain was just like, almost felt like I had brain freeze, even though it was quite warm. And then I suddenly became aware of how much water and nutrition that I've been putting on, you know, taking on, has just left my body in the toilet. So I guess this is the point when I realised like things aren't entirely hunky-dory, and my 7k, I guess, gel, or every 7k gel, I should say, plan is kind of gone out the window, and about 25k I just take on a gel. This was the gel that I planned to take on at 28k, but you know, this is a good, I guess, reason that I took on an extra gel that day. I took 6 instead of 5. And yeah, not soon after taking that gel did I need to visit the toilet again. Yeah, it wasn't good. That bathroom break that I had that cost me anywhere from a minute to 2 minutes, I'm not sure. That bathroom break only actually gave me relief for about 5k, which is really annoying. I just, yeah, I couldn't believe it at the time. So yeah, 25k into this thing and I need to poo again, and even worse than the first time, I might add. My stomach was cramping, it was absolutely killing me. And oh, the course, the second lap around, I should mention this was a 2-lap marathon. The second lap wasn't anywhere near as enjoyable as the first. We started the first lap about 6:30 and the sun wasn't rising till 7, so it was so nice to see the sunrise with an empty, you know, bow at this point. And then second lap, it was a full bow and yeah, quite frankly daylight, and I couldn't really be bothered. I was knackered, I was exhausted, and I just couldn't be bothered the second lap. But I'm so incredibly pleased to say that I just pushed on, and Mark, the 3-hour pacer, he just kept me going, just distracting me, telling me about things he's been watching on Netflix. You know, it's so nice to have the support when you need it. And it got to the point at the end where it was just Mark and I, and Mark was keeping me going literally from 26k until 41.5k. I doubted I was going to finish this thing because I don't feel comfortable with a poo in my pants while I'm running. I would have had to have stopped if it had happened. It would have been out of my control. I wouldn't have finished the thing if my bowels had emptied themselves, shall we say. But you know, somehow it all stayed inside and Mark carried me through, and we got to probably about 41.5k, or maybe just over that, with less than a k to go, when Mark said to me, all right Scott, this is going to be tight if we're going to go under 3 hours. Time to pick up the pace, let's get moving. So as soon as I opened up my stride and I started to push a little bit, I guess, harder on the pace, my bowels just weren't happy about it, and I was just fighting back these pains. It was physical pain, and you know, I should add at this point that my legs, my upper body, everything muscularly felt amazing. So the training absolutely paid off. I'm absolutely stoked with the almost 2,000 kilometers I ran in preparation for this marathon. Legs felt amazing. What didn't feel great was my stomach, and you know what, I can't wait to run another marathon soon and not need to go to the bathroom, because I'm confident that it's going to be a great day. But unfortunately on this occasion, when my legs and the rest of my muscular system was ready to play ball, unfortunately my bowels weren't, and I pushed with Mark. Sounds crazy saying it like that now, but we pushed together. Mark opened up the pace and I swung my arms as hard as I could, and as we approached the finish, Mark told me, all right, you've got 20 seconds to get there. And I looked up this hill and it was a steep gradient and it looked so far away, but I pushed, and to be honest, I can't believe I didn't poop my pants at this point. But the crowd kept us going, and the crowd, it seemed all at once in sync, was shouting, you're gonna do it, sub 3 hours, you're gonna do it. And this just absolutely carried me. You know, it spurred my legs on, somehow encouraged my bowels to stay, you know, intact and inside as they should be. And I raced up this hill and I got over the finish line, and it was just such a euphoric feeling. To stop, you know, running a marathon is an amazing feeling. To get to the end, to do that 42.2k or 26.2 miles, as soon as you finish running, it's a crazy feeling. You know, I hope you can all experience it one day. It's truly something special. I put my hands down on my knees and I felt my eyes welling up with tears. You know, even though it's my second official marathon, it was an amazing feeling. And I looked up at Mark and he said to me, did you do it? Did you do it? You know, he was asking me what time I had on my watch, and I checked my watch and it was 3 hours exactly. It was 03:00:00. So my plan was to go sub 3 and seeing 3 hours. I guess, you know, I said before setting out for this marathon I would be grateful for whatever happened, and in that moment gratitude is all I felt. you know, it is the building blocks of this channel. Finding gratitude, finding peace, that is truly what I believe. And when I saw 3 hours on my watch, all I had was gratitude. I was overjoyed, and I hugged Mark in that moment and limped over to give Courtney a hug, who was waiting for me just after the finish line with my family. And well, what a crazy feeling that was. You know, a new PB, even closer to all of the goals that I've laid out for myself. And you know, I finished another marathon, and somehow I kept my bowels inside. And after sitting down, taking on a recovery drink and just trying to process what had just happened, I checked on my phone the results for the marathon, and there I asked Courtney to read them out for me. It came up with my finish time, my gun time, so from when the gun went off to when I crossed the line, it was 3 hours and 5 seconds. Now I knew that my gun time would be slightly different to my chip time being the time from when I went over the start mat to the finish mat. I knew it would be slightly different to the gun time because I was quite far back at the start. And then when Courtney read out the net time of my chip, it was actually, instead of starting with 3 hours, it started with 2 hours, and it was 2 hours, 59 minutes, 59 seconds, and 92 milliseconds. So I'd snuck under the 3 hours by, what, 8 milliseconds? What is that, 8/100th of a second? Absolutely ridiculous. So I don't know what this means. Really, if you take into account that marathon times are only recorded to the second, really. I actually did the marathon in 3 hours, but I think I'd like to believe that it was a 2 hour, 59 minute, 59 second, 0.92 second marathon. So it was sub 3 after all, but who knows? I will let you guys decide for me in the comments whether I deserve to say I went sub 3 hours or not. But what I do know, guys, is that I did it. I'm so incredibly proud of this medal right here. She's an absolute beauty, and I loved every second of that marathon. Not the seconds in the bathroom, that was a terrible time, but wow, that was just an amazing experience. And I'll have more thoughts on this whole experience later, but it's been 2 days now since the marathon, as I said, and wow, that was a great experience being out there. And the South Australian Roadrunners Club put on a great event there. Everyone out there that gave me encouragement, the spectators, the other runners, thank you so much. What a beautiful, beautiful event. If you are in South Australia and you haven't run the Adelaide Marathon before, I absolutely recommend it to you. What an amazing experience, and it's an experience truly that I'm grateful for, and I'll never forget. Even if I run it for, you know, the next 5 consecutive years, I will never forget my first marathon at the Adelaide Marathon Festival. That was absolutely incredible. But that is another marathon recap for this channel. I can't believe that I've made 2 of these videos in 1 year. I'm truly grateful to be able to run, and yeah, what an amazing thing this is. Guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below. It really does help the channel get seen by a wider audience. Likewise, if you haven't subscribed already, please do consider subscribing. We're all about sharing goodness here, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this one and have enjoyed what I think is 42 videos on the channel now, which, yeah, can't believe we've racked up that many videos already. But as always, find gratitude, find peace. I'll be back sometime soon running, but not this week, that's for sure. I'm still struggling to walk, but thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Woohoo, look at that, baby. Yeah.
Let's go!
Well done, guys. Well done, Scott.